And finally, onto our collision, where we're looking at applying conservation of momentum. So my roller coaster carriage is 100 kilos. We've already seen that. And I'm nominating the second carriage, the one that it will collide with, as being 150 kilos. So this one is stationary. So its initial velocity, the initial velocity of object 2, is 0 meters per second. Let's take a look at what I've got written here. So we know that in our isolated systems with no external forces that conservation is conserved. So that means conservation is conserved, momentum is conserved. Okay, let's try that again. Momentum is conserved, and momentum is mass times velocity. All right, P equals mv, momentum. P equals mv. So what we're saying is the momentum of object number 1, m1 times by its initial velocity, plus the initial momentum of object 2, its mass times its initial velocity, will be equal to their final momentums combined. Mass and final velocity of object 1, mass and final velocity of object 2. Alright, so momentum's conserved and we apply this principle. For a collision to be considered elastic, this is the condition that must be met, that the amount of kinetic energy our system had prior to the collision has to be equal to the kinetic energy afterwards, and we can only determine this by calculating it. So if we find the kinetic energy of our system before is equal to the kinetic energy after, that's the definition of an elastic collision. If they are not equal, if kinetic energy has been lost, then we classify the collision as not being elastic, which we call inelastic. So let's take a look at the problems we've been asked to solve here. So 21, the collision occurs at ground level. Calculate the impact speed of the moving carriage. So at ground level, I know that this is travelling at 34.29 meters per second. All right, we've already worked this out, and we've applied this several times already. So this is the initial velocity of my mass number 1. I know the mass of mass number 1. The initial velocity of mass number 2 is 0. So 21 is just asking for the impact speed of the moving carriage. So this carriage number 1 is going to crash into carriage number 2 at 34.29 meters per second. 22. Nominate a mass of the secondary carriage. I've done that. I've just chosen 150 for no particular reason. Then calculate the final velocity of the two carriages if they lock together after colliding. Okay, if they lock together after colliding, that means they will share a common final velocity, which means we can factorise this side of the equation. So m1u1 plus m2u2 equals our final velocity of our two masses combined. So let's substitute in. We've got our mass of 100 kilos doing 34.29, so 100 times by 34.29 plus m2, which is 150 kilos, times by an initial velocity of nothing, equals some final velocity of our two masses added together. So 100 times by 34.29, let's bounce the decimal place 2 places, so 3429, plus 150 times by 0 is 0, and 100 plus 150 is 250, 250 times by v is 250v. Alright, so get v by itself. At the moment it's been multiplied by 250, let's divide by 250, whatever we do to that side we do to that side. And so v is going to be equal to 3429 divided by 250, and it's 13.72 meters a second, which is quite a bit less than the impact speed it went in. Now, surely it's obvious that if this thing collides with this thing at 34.29 meters a second, it's not the system is, and this thing is stationary. The system is not going to increase in speed. And in fact, because this has a larger mass, it should be less than half, and 13 or 14 is less than half of 34. So that looks good to me. That's 22. 23 is our elastic or inelastic question. So let's work out the kinetic energy before the collision and compare it with the kinetic energy after. Kinetic energy is a half mv squared. So before the collision, so let's compare before, is it equal to after? Well, before the collision, our second mass had a velocity of nothing, so it has no kinetic energy. So prior to the collision, all of the kinetic energy is held by object 1. Object 2, with a velocity of 0, has a kinetic energy of 0. So half m1 u1 half mv squared. After they are both moving, right, they collided, we were told they locked together, so we can consider them to be one mass, our combined mass doing that final velocity squared. Let's go ahead and substitute in our values. So it was our 100 kilo carriage doing 34.29 meters a second, so squared, equals a half times by our combined mass, which was 250. 100 kilo plus 150 is 250, and when they locked together they went off at a speed of 13.72 meters per second, so times by 13.72 squared. Okay, I'll calculate this side of the equation first because I've already got this number sitting in my calculator, so let me square that and then multiply it by 250 and then multiply that by half, and I get 23,516 joules. Let's have a look at before. Half times 100 is 50. 50 times by 34.29 squared equals 58,790. 58,790. Alright. 58,790 is clearly not equal to 23,516. So we've lost sort of half our energy here. So we've lost a lot. So comparing our kinetic energy before with after, we find that it's not equal. Therefore, this collision needs to be classified as being inelastic. Alright, we've shown it, we've proven it, and so we can summarize, or we can state that it's an inelastic collision. Okay, 24, our very last question, 24, is asking us, how would the final velocity be different if the mass of m2 was increased? So if m2 was increased, okay, that's a pretty straightforward question. So instead of m2 being what I've nominated as 150, they're saying what if it was more? Well, if it was more, we would need to change this value here. But increasing the mass of object 2 makes no difference to the mass or the initial speed of object 1. So this bit won't change. Increasing the mass of object 2 to 200, 250, whatever, means that we're going to get a smaller final velocity value. Final velocity will decrease. Alright, the larger the mass you collide with, the lower the final velocity must have to be. And that is the end of that.